Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another video. Today I'm going to be sharing some paper pieced Santas using the Simon Says Stamp December 2022 card kit called Joy to You and Yours. And this card kit has so many cute elements in it, and definitely this Santa die was catching my eye, I guess I should say, when I opened up the kit. So let's take a little look at what you get in the kit. When you open it up, first thing, there's this beautiful embossing folder, an envelope, lots of Prima candy cane lane pattern paper, which influenced my design and color choices by far. Beautiful. The Santa die, some candy canes, some adhesive transfers and foil sheets, a 6x8 stamp set with beautiful stamps, some beautiful velvet white cardstock, red cardstock, white cardstock, and yes, Lumberjack Plaid, the new Distress ink from Tim Holtz in a little mini cube. Now I'm going to take some of the paper from the kit and I am going to cut down my paper to about 3-inch strips. That's because I just want to use my Hero compact cutter to die cut my Santa today. I love using this little compact cutter. I know I've mentioned it a lot lately, but it's just nicer than getting my big machine out. So I simply am going to go through and die cut my Santa. Now I am showing die cutting the red cardstock because originally I thought I would use the red for the red in the Santa hat. And then I was completely inspired by the pattern paper and decided to kind of switch it up. So I'm just going to save those pieces that I die cut because I can use those for something else a little bit later. I'll have another video coming later this month using the card kit as well. And I am going to die cut the Santa, and because it's a single die, I am going to have to die cut it multiple times from the velvet cardstock, white cardstock, pattern paper, and I think that's, oh, and glitter cardstock from my stash. I do try to stick to the card kit as much as possible and just pull from my stash here and there. Now you can see I'm taking sentiments from the Joy to You and Yours stamp set, figuring out kind of what pattern paper I want to use for the background, how I want to lay things out. I kind of thought, do I want to put Santas all over the background? I played around with a lot of different ideas. You can kind of see I've colored one already. I will show you coloring that up close here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and put him together, but I will color one on camera as soon as I get this guy put together. Now, the velvet cardstock does add amazing texture. The glitter cardstock I'm using is from the November release, and I just really liked that glittery cardstock. I had some little scraps, so I die cut it. I like that there's little sparkles over the Santa. It adds a ton of interest. And then, of course, the white cardstock is what I colored with my Copic markers to add the Santa face. I did layer one of the mustaches, the white cardstock mustache, and then I'm going to layer the velvet cardstock over that for a tiny bit of dimension. I'm not going to worry about the eyes. I didn't die cut the eyes from black cardstock. Instead, I'll show you how I get around that here in a minute as soon as I finish assembling my Santa. And then, of course, the red pattern paper in the kit. And I'm going to be creative with how I get the pink Santa hat, because it's actually on the back side of this polka dot paper over here I'm going to use for the background. And we are going to grab some pink Santa hats. I did die cut several because I will be sharing another project using these Santas soon. And so little silver glittery stars. Look how cute Santa is. Oh my goodness, you guys. I love this Santa face so much. Now I'm going to take a black jelly roll pen and I'm going to just color right over the eyes. I decided this was going to be the quickest and easiest. Plus, I love my black jelly roll pen for eye detail. I think it makes the eyes pop. Once I have that, look how sweet his face is. I'm going to take a white pen and I'll do a little white highlight for the eyes, for the nose, and I do come back later, I don't know if I do it here or not, and add some little white dots to cheeks. But white highlights for the win. Now, you definitely don't have to use a rectangle die to die cut your pattern paper. I will tell you the reason I chose to. A lot of times I will pick a rectangle die to die cut my background because it allows me with pattern paper to choose exactly what part of the pattern paper to cut. If I need to cut it at an angle, I can. So for me, it just really helps out. I was going to die cut a little smaller than A2 size, but ultimately I decided to stick with the A2 sized rectangle for the most real estate on my card. I loved these kind of watercolor-ish looking or stamped looking polka dots in the great retro colors. And so I am going to run that through my Spellbinders Platinum. I did have to get out my big machine after all. And I am going to use that for the background. I love how it's got some distress to it. And then that little strip there on the back, I'm going to be able to use that little section of pink and die cut some Santa hats. Now, not included in the kit, I grabbed this from my stash, is some vellum. And vellum is a great way to add an overlay to a card design where you still want to see through the sentiment strip, I guess, into the background. And so for my card, I thought that the vellum would really be helpful. So I grabbed that from my stash. Now, Merry and Bright that I'm stamping right here, that is from the amazing Joy to You and Yours 6x8 stamp set included in the kit. First of all, this might be my favorite sentiment of the season. The font is fabulous. The size is fabulous. Oh my goodness, you guys, I couldn't love this sentiment more. I stamped it on vellum with clear embossing ink. I'm going to emboss with white embossing powder. I hit the back of it first and then the front, and then I'm going to place it back in my MISTI. Kind of ignore the mess going on my sticky mat. I need to wash that off. I am going to then layer the small font phrase right underneath. And I want to get this as close as possible and also as straight as possible. I stamped my sentiment kind of in the center of this half sheet of vellum because we're going to wrap it around our card front and secure it to the back. That way we don't have to worry about hiding our adhesive at all. And that didn't feel straight to me, so I'm going to fix it. There we go. And I am going to grab some Lumberjack Plaid Distress embossing powder from my stash, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment with clear ink, and I am going to emboss this small phrase in red. I don't know about you guys, but I am a huge fan of a two-tone embossed sentiment. It looks amazing. This red is the perfect color of red, and I absolutely love how this turned out. Not gonna lie, it's like one of my favorite things. I love, love, love it. I think it's so, so pretty. So now I'm going to heat set this, and then I'm going to trim it into a thin strip. Because I did work pretty hard in my MISTI to make sure that it was straight as possible, I'm going to be able to take my paper trimmer and trim that down. I'm going to leave I'd say about maybe 1/4 of an inch on either side of my sentiment, and I purposely left that instead of maybe the 1/8 of an inch that I normally would leave, because I do want to do a little score line with my scoreboard, which I'll show you here in a little bit when we start putting the entire card together. So here I am just trimming that down. Looks so good. It would be fantastic for like a slimline style card as well, or a 5x7 card. How pretty would that be? That will look amazing. So there's our Santa, our background, and our little phrase. And now I need to figure out how I want to finish my card. Up until this point, I don't know. I had tons of die cut Santas. You can see all of them there. So let's go ahead and just start assembling some of these, and we will see where we go from there. Just like I showed you before with the assembly, But now I'm going to show you the coloring very fast. I mean, I sped it up, yes, but it was fast coloring. E13, E11, and R20 for the face and the nose. I don't worry about the eyes. I color straight over the eyes because we're going to cover those up with a jelly roll pen anyway. And then I like to build from the bottom up. Don't forget that other little side of his beard. And the very last thing I add is the sparkles. The pom-pom, brim of the hat, mustache, and beard are all the velvet cardstock. The hat is pattern paper, and there's that little bit of pink. And I love the pink for the Santa hat. I think it's really, really cute. And then the sparkles are the glitter cardstock. I think metallic cardstock would also work really nicely here. Jelly roll pen for the eyes, which immediately makes the face come to life. White highlights for the nose, the eyes, and some dots for the cheeks. And still playing around, still trying to figure out what I want to do. I don't think I'm going to like that all over design. I mean, I know I don't, because that's not what we end up with. But right about now, you really get to see kind of my thought process. And I'm like, oh, lining up Santas is cute. A little stripy paper down near the bottom, that would be cute too. Using the pattern paper, this pattern paper from Prima, you guys, it's called Candy Cane Lane Collection. It is amazing. I love it. I'm definitely going to be buying some more of this to have on hand because it is really good. So let's go ahead and add one more Santa to fill in that space. And again, I know I have more die cut Santas than what I'm going to use for this card, but watch for another project coming soon. It'll probably be just like a little quick video, may even try a reel. I keep saying that. I haven't tried one yet, but you know, we'll get there eventually. We'll do something. Because I think this Santa is the cutest. And the texture is amazing. I'm really, really loving the velvet cardstock. I've used it quite a bit. I love that Simon Says Stamp has some new specialty cardstocks out. Absolutely incredible. Okay, so now we're ready to put it all together. Let's move everything out of the way a little bit. And I want to go ahead and take my stripe, and I'm going to just trim. It's probably about 1/4 of an inch. I did not measure it, maybe just a little bit more, since I know this tape, this red line tape from Simon Says Stamp is 1/4 of an inch. And I am going to put that on the back, and I am going to layer that along the bottom edge of my polka dot background. And it's just one tiny little piece of stripe, but I love how this looks, especially on the finished design. Then I'm going to take my Merry and Bright Vellum kind of card wrap, I guess I'd call it, and I'm going to use the Score Buddy, and I am going to score probably about 1/8 of an inch from each side. Very, very gently. I'm going to go very slow doing this. And yes, you are supposed to butt it up over against the corner, but it wasn't lining up the way I needed it to, so I improvised. I'm a big fan of improvising when things aren't exactly working out. And then I'm going to work to wrap this around my card. Why this was so hard for me, you guys, I have no idea. But I really wanted to make sure that I had it equal distance from each side, and the adhesive will be hidden on the back of the card. I'm just using my little bone folder there to kind of show me where it's going to fold. And we're going to simply wrap that around the panel. I'm going to do one side and then I will do the other. I want to make sure and get it nice and straight, hopefully. And I'm just going to use some nice strong adhesive on the back. peel up the backing paper and on one side only. Let's just start with one side. And I don't want this overlapping the stripe too much, maybe just a very tiny bit, like I'd say maybe a 1/16 of an inch. It's hardly anything. And we're gonna wrap that around, make sure it's straight. I didn't think it was very straight, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna tear the paper. So we're gonna keep it just like it is. It's perfect. It is perfect just the way it is. And then we're gonna glue our Santas down. And I want to pop the Santa in the center up. So our Santas with the red hats are gonna go on either side. And our Santa with the pink hat is going to go right in the center. And he is going to slightly overlap that vellum band. And I'm gonna pop him up with foam adhesive. So I'm just gonna put some liquid adhesive all over the back of the other two Santas, and we're going to line them up. And what I love is that when you look through the vellum there, you can still see the outline of the Santa beard. Not very much of him is covered up. You can see the polka dots peeking through the vellum. It just is such a great design element. Vellum is one of my, and continues to be, one of my very favorite things to use on a card. We will take some Simon Says Stamp foam adhesive squares in the large and the small, place those on the back of our Santa head, and then we're just going to pop him up. And you guys, that's it. Very simple. This card showcases a lot of the products from the kit. A few things from my stash, a few things that if you have some rectangle dies in your stash or some vellum in your stash, you will be able to replicate this at home very, very easily. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these paper pieced Santas featuring the Simon Says Stamp December 2022 card kit called Joy to You and Yours. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my absolutely amazing Patreon members. If you would like to become a member of Patreon, please click the link in the description below. We would love to see you over there as part of our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new card making or paper crafting video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.